was diagnosed with scleroderma when I was 5 years old, which was the summer before I went to kindergarten.
So how many years have you had this disease?
I have had scleroderma for 12 years. What do you know about scleroderma? Do you know what it is? 300,000 people in America face this disease every day, as many as have multiple sclerosis. Scleroderma is a complex autoimmune disease. It's a chronic, often progressive disease in which the body's immune system attacks its own tissues. At the moment, there is no cure. My name is Mary Charlotte, and I'm 17 years old, and I have scleroderma. For me, scleroderma started as just a brown mark on my finger that we thought was a bruise, really. And then I was put on antibiotics for 2 weeks, and that didn't help. And at that point, it had started to spread up my arm. Everyday things that should be really simple aren't necessarily always simple, just like going from school from 8 to 3:30 isn't the easiest thing in the world. I think that's probably the hardest part, just kind of getting through every day. It's hard for me to say really when I understood what scleroderma was. I think when I was in middle school, I think that I kind of started to realize that I was different from other people. There's definitely a level of fear, I think, when you have scleroderma because so little is known about it that a doctor will tell me something one week and then the next week I'll hear something different, and with so many symptoms it's so hard to know what is going to happen like 1 year down the road or 10 years down the road. Scleroderma is definitely a much different experience. I mean, there are people who have a mark on their leg that you could technically call scleroderma, and there are people who can barely get out of bed every day. There's definitely a vast difference, which I think is one reason that it's really hard first to diagnose it, because there's really everything is affected. You might have lung involvement or you might just have muscle problems. For me, it's just, I think, the level of pain and fatigue, but I know for other people it might be that they can't walk, or for other people it might be that they can't breathe without oxygen. Saturday morning when I wake up, I get an injection of methotrexate, which is the chemotherapy. And usually I feel the effects of that about an hour after the injection, and I get a headache and I get nauseous and feel pretty tired. It's usually like Friday night, if I'm feeling motivated, I'll get my homework done then, so that, because I know that usually Saturday and Sunday won't be good days for me. The methotrexate has worse side effects, I think, than even the disease does. I will get migraines a lot and a lot of nausea and fatigue. A bad day would be a day when I really couldn't stay at school because of the effects of the disease or the medicines. I think it's especially hard on my dad that I have a disease since he's a doctor, and I think to some extent he feels like he should be able to do something about it. And I know when I get weekly injections of methotrexate, he's the one who does it, and I think that that's really hard on him to feel like he's the one hurting me. I always knew that it was hard on my parents and my mom especially, because she was really the one taking me to Boston where my doctor used to be and making a lot of the hard decisions. But I think it was hard on my brothers and sisters too, just the level of uncertainty that you have with it. The more I understand about it, the more it is frightening. What scares me more than anything with it is the fact that they don't know if there's a genetic link. So I don't know that if 10 years down the road I have children, then I'm putting them at risk for having it, because I don't think I would do that. At this point, there's a lot being done to bring the disease more out into the open than it was. I mean, the change from when I was 5 to today is really a huge difference. Just the fact that you can go on the internet and go on Google and there are 1,000 websites about scleroderma. Before, no one knew about it, even doctors didn't know about it. My mom and I would go to a doctor, and the pediatric rheumatologist, you'd say like, oh, I have scleroderma, and find yourself explaining the disease to the doctor, which is never a good feeling. Until it's more well known, the chances of getting the research money that we really need, I think, are really slim. And at this point, we don't even know the cause of the disease, which is the first step. And until you know the cause, you don't know, obviously, a cure. I can't imagine what I would be like without having dealt with this challenge in my life, and it's made me see how lucky I am to have so many people who care so much about me, and that I have my parents who would take me to Boston every week to see a doctor, and I have my friends who act like all they want to do is stay in on a Saturday night too, when I know probably that isn't true. And just, I think it's really made me a stronger person and made me motivated to really make a difference. Anytime you have a disease that affects so few people, it's going to be hard to get the awareness that you want. I mean, I think that all of us know someone who has had cancer. All of us have been affected or have heard about AIDS. You can't blame people for the fact that it's just really rare. Once people know about it, I think that the research money will really fall into place. The best way to get people to care about these diseases is to put a face with them. Once people can see how much people's lives are really changed by these diseases, it's not hard to make them care just as much as they care about AIDS and cancer. Please call the Scleroderma Foundation at this number for more information and help. 800-722-4673. Let's talk about scleroderma, because 300,000 people create an incredibly loud voice. We need to add your voice to find the cause and the cure. Let's make a difference. Let's talk about it. Please call 800-722-4673. Let's talk about scleroderma.